What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Wealth Not Weight. I'm your host, as always, Joseph Coizza, and on today's episode, we are talking about 3 things that being overweight can teach you about yourself. Now, I first want to start off by saying that this is specifically for a video for people who aren't have a medical condition, don't have any serious genetic issues or anything. That is the reason why they're overweight. This is a primarily video about people who are overweight due to a lack of a proper diet and or the wrong kind of exercise. Now, this is coming from somebody who was very overweight. I'll show you a photo of that now. If you're first time meeting me, I was about 300 pounds at the age of 18. I was overweight for most of my life, and it really kind of changed when I looked at myself in the mirror and said, I don't recognize myself anymore. I'm not the person I thought I was. The vision of this amazing, happy-go-lucky, really great, awesome person in my head, when I looked on the outside, it wasn't me. And I realized that needed to change, and that was also a big shock when I spoke to my doctor, and my doctor was one of the most amazing people ever. And when you picture a doctor, this was the guy who you picture as a doctor. He told me that I realistically needed to lose 20 pounds, especially at my age. He's like, we could start losing weight, otherwise you will have some significant health effects, especially with the way I walk moving on later in life. That could be back problems, that could be heart problems, that could be obesity, that could be diabetes, that could be a variety of issues. So someone who understands the struggle and what it's like to be overweight and the reasons and every single excuse and reason under the book, other than, of course, genetic disorders and whatnot, I understand where you're coming from if you are someone who is considered overweight. But these are things that will teach you that about yourself, these issues that you realize, the potential why you're overweight, or things that you will overcome when trying to fix your weight and gain healthier. The first one is your environment. Being overweight will teach you something about your environment. If you're overweight, you understand that your environment is not the best. Be it your food environment, your actual environment, like your living environment, your social environment, whatever it may be, there's an issue somewhere in your environment. That being the type of food that you keep in your house, let's just say. If you have a lot of snacks, if you have a lot of cookies, if you have a lot of cake, I know I'm a big cake person, ice cream, these high sugary, fattening foods, or even if it's not something like that, and it's just like a muffin, or you have like a hamburger or something, but you eat healthy the rest of the time, the type of food that you keep around or gravitate towards, or that you work, say you work next to McDonald's, you get out late, more times, often than not, you're gonna stop at McDonald's on the way home, something along those lines, that is your environment. The food environment that you keep around, the environment that you go towards for food. If you're in a food desert and you don't have access to good food, again, there's lots of reasons why there could be issues with your environment. The goal to fix that is obviously fix your environment. You could try and improve your environment, but if it's something like there's a lot of fast food places around you, not a lot of healthy options other than your local Walmart, you can't really improve the environment itself, but you can move yourself to a new environment. Or your primary environment can be a healthy one in your house. Instead of, say, stopping at McDonald's or something, going to a Walmart, a lunch break or whatever it is, going to Walmart, picking up food, preparing food, taking the extra time to do it, learning how to make fast and easy food, learning how to make cheap, healthy, easy foods. I have a video on getting $40 worth of food, which realistically can sustain a person for a week and help them maintain a healthy diet and lose weight, potentially even build muscle depending on where you're at. And a lot of other ways. For about 40 bucks a week, you can get a good amount of food that will help you lose weight. And again, as you learn foods and whatnot, what to have in the house, what don't have in the house, cleaning up your environment, your food environment is a big thing. Actual environment, the area that you have around you, obviously not just in food environment, but if your environment is poor, and it's not necessarily poor financial, but poor as in it's not giving you what you need. It's not giving the mental or the physical, whatever nutrition that you need. If you're around people, you're around an area that does not inspire you, or at least maintain you, if it's actively hurting you, if you look around, you're like, I just don't like where I'm at. In life, in general, where you live, whatever it is, that environment will then drain you emotionally, potentially physically, financially, a whole bunch of ways. You need to change and or move that environment. If it's something that could change, maybe the people you're around, which will go into a more social environment, that's a step to do it. If not, and it's something that you need to just leave, that is a primary concern. I understand finances are tough. I understand that certain family members or this or that, or whatever your reason for being in where you are right now, that you're not super happy with that environment. Whatever that reason may be, it's going to affect your health if it's a negative. It's a negative environment, it will ultimately affect you. It's gonna affect your finances, you're gonna make less because you're less inspired. It's gonna affect your mood, you're gonna be depressed more and then lead to direct physical and or then just mental issues. Or then physically, it could drain you, it could hurt you. If it's a dangerous environment, then that's obviously a physical environment. If it's a food desert or there's other things going around, that will then also play a direct effect on your environment. Your health is one of your main priorities. I understand saving money and doing all that is important, especially someone coming from a channel where that's what it's about. But if you're not taking your health seriously, if you're not pushing forward, if you're not trying to actively better your health, it doesn't matter how much money you save, because if you end up dead, you can't use it. The social environment, I know, like, a little dark, but we'll try and liven up in this next one. The friends, the people you hang around with, your family. If people are generally trying to help you, if someone's sitting down and they can have that tough conversation and say, hey, listen, I noticed in the past month you gained like 30 pounds, is everything all right? What's going on? Or you have friends who want to go to the gym, or you have family members who are determined to do things. People who aren't generally out to hurt you, but help you instead, who generally care about you. That kind of people is good. Or even if they're not actively hurting you, if they're just complacent. They're the kind of people who will go out to a lot of fast food restaurants, who for lunch, they're not going to pick the healthiest option. I'm not saying you need to remove these people from your life completely, but you need to distance yourself in that regard. Or if family's not people who take care of the health, you become the people that you're closest to. So if the 3 people around you, the 4 people around you, how many people are predominantly around you? Usually the first 3 people, the most that you spend your most time with, that's who you're most like. Those people around you aren't taking care of their health. They're either complacent with their health or they're actively hurting you. You need to distance yourself from that in that regard. Maybe don't hang out with them as much. Maybe don't go out to dinner with them. They're your movie friends, you like hanging out, going places, whatever. Hang out with them, awesome, but don't go out to lunch with them all the time. If you go out and hang out, get a water. Just maintain some self-control, which we'll get into in the next bit. Don't go out and participate in their bad behaviors. Don't go out and do that kind of thing, because ultimately that's going to hurt you with your weight. Life in general, if you hang out with people who aren't going where you want to go, aren't helping you get to where you need to be, aren't inspiring you, making you happy, genuinely bringing joy, happiness, good things to your life, if they're complacent or, again, at worst, hurting you, family members, friends, coworkers, anybody, that's something you want to distance yourself from as soon as possible. Next part of that is going to be your willpower. Obviously, someone who's overweight, due to the lack of physical activity or the wrong kind of physical activity, due to the lack of the wrong types of food, or the abundance of food that you're consuming, the extra calories that you have, or sugars or wrong food, whatever it may be, that is an issue with willpower. There's plenty, I'm not a psychiatrist, but there's plenty of reasons I can imagine what that may be. You may have low discipline. That may be the case. I know, coming from a point of view of someone who was heavy at the time, I didn't look fondly upon myself. I don't know if I'd go to the extreme and say I hated myself, but I definitely was not as kind and nice to myself as I should have been. I wasn't as caring and loving and taking care of myself. When you let yourself get to a point where you're actually harming yourself with what you eat, it's almost a form of self-soothing. I know when I eat a piece of food, some cake, whatever it is, it made me feel good. Being the heavy kid in high school, rejection from peers. Maybe not friends, but definitely with women, that was also a big factor. Kind of pushing yourself off, and you're like, oh, well, I'm overweight. You get sad, you eat more cake, you get more overweight, and it's a vicious cycle. And facing that rejection from that, or for peers, like athletics. Nobody is really gonna pick the big heavy kid. So if we did anything athletics, you're kind of low on the totem pole. So you may have some self-esteem issues with that. There's plenty of things why you have that absence of willpower or that issue going on where you can't help yourself or improve yourself, where you're not actively putting it to that mind. You of course can, but you need to put your mind towards it, towards doing that. That is more of an emotional issue. That's something you need to address. You need to love yourself and care about yourself, because you are an amazing and truly great person. I don't want to progress what everybody else says and say, you're perfect the way you are. You're great the way you are. You're amazing, you're wonderful, you're unique. But nobody is perfect. Especially if you're doing something that's harming yourself and your health. That's something you can actively do to get better. It's not like, oh, woe is me, or it hurts, or I'm heavy, whatever it is. Staying in that kind of mindset isn't going to get you further. You have to recognize the fact that, oh, I am amazing. Yeah, I'm fucking awesome. Even overweight, I'm awesome, I'm great, I'm doing things, yay me. But I can get better. And you know what? I actively want to get better, because I am that great person. I want to show everybody on the outside I'm that great, but I also want to be able to do things that help me. As you lose weight, you have more and more opportunity open to you. As you're healthier, at least. Maybe not, losing weight if you're already healthy, but being healthier in whatever regard that may be to you, that's something that will open up a lot of opportunity for you. You spend less money on clothes, you are able to do things more, you're more physically active, you have more confidence, and with more confidence comes more social interaction. With more social interaction, you build a social circle, you're able to address things differently. You have direct things that are related to weight. When I went on a trip to Gatlinburg for my senior year, they had a weight limit on the horses. If you're over that weight limit, if you're over, I think they said like 280. If you're over 280, they didn't want to put you on the horses because that was a risk to, I think, the horse and you, or for whatever the reason they had for it. You then are actively limited in your experiences. Oh, maybe I want to go ride horses, but I'm overweight. I can't do that. That's directly limiting your experiences, and that's directly limiting things. Now, that may not be the case for everybody, but having that kind of willpower directly associates with, okay, I'm going to improve my environment, my social circle, everything, my discipline. Once you build that, that then expands out to everything. It expands it to your finances, your relationships, everything you have. You start building discipline, you build social boundaries, you build all that, like, okay, I'm not gonna spend money because I know I need to get the most of what I need. I need to get, if I'm spending $5, I'd rather get something that fills me nutritionally and internally and not just empty calories. Well, then financially, you're gonna do the same kind of thing. I'm not gonna spend all this money on something I'm not gonna use. I'm gonna spend money on something that genuinely fulfills me and brings me joy or makes me better. An investment in assets, it's still liabilities, and it grows as you build that discipline. Same thing with people around you. If I'm gonna spend time with people, I wanna be happy people. I want it to be awesome people. People who make me feel good. People I could bring value to and then who bring value to my life and everything's great. Genuine good friends and family type situation. I have the discipline, the willpower to stop, put my foot down, love myself enough to say, hey, listen, I don't want to spend time with them because they are an active negative in my life. Finally, you guys knew we were going to get to it, as is the point of the channel, is finances. If you have an issue with weight and it's through your disciplined environment, I almost guarantee you have some kind of issue with your finances too, overspending or an income problem or somewhere along those lines. Realizing that you have that kind of issue, you then can connect that back to your finances. And when you grow that discipline, when you improve your environment, your finances will increase as well. As you become healthier and you become more confident, the amount of connections you make, the people you talk to, that gets better, which directly affects your social circle, your environment, and the amount of money that you make. If you're spending less money on health issues, like if you have to go to the doctor more and all that due to your health issues, you're obviously saving money directly through that. As you build discipline, you're spending less money on junk food and on more food that's healthy and fulfilling, and it's better for you overall. You don't have to get the same kind of thing. Like, you're not drinking a huge amount of soda and you're spending $2 or $3 on a 2 liter when you get water for practically free. You hang out with the right kind of people, that affects your environment, your finances, and just everything overall will improve financially if you have those strong discipline and environment to build your health. If you're overweight, again, I knew I was spending a lot of money when I was heavy because I lacked discipline, I lacked a proper environment, I lacked knowledge too, which is something else we can get into in a later video, but I lacked all that information, and that heavily affected my finances too. If you're undisciplined in one area, chances are you could be very undisciplined in another area. If you're undisciplined with your weight and your activity and you're not spending your time and efforts correctly, chances are you're not going to be spending your time and money correctly. Everything is connected and it grows and helps you exponentially. So those are 3 things that you can learn from being overweight if you are overweight or just generally unhealthy due to something that is a direct cause that you have brought. Again, not like a genetic issue or serious disease or anything like that. It's due to lack of actual exercise and lack of a proper and healthy diet. Improving that environment, both food and the people around you, improving your discipline, what you eat, when you eat, the type of activities you do, and applying your time and efforts correctly and the way you should. And then of course your finances, which are naturally going to improve as you spend your money, your time and efforts correctly to build yourself up and then improve everything else. Naturally your finances will grow and get better as well. So I hope you guys like this video, and let me know what are some other things that you feel are improved by assisting your health, other than of course the things I mentioned here and your health in general. What's something else that gets improved almost by proxy that's connected when improving your health? Hope you guys like this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.